If you're like one of my clients this week and feeling as if you're at a dead end, as if everything you've tried isn't working and, oh, I might as well give up, then don't give up. Have a listen, see what I shared with the client, and let's explore what it might be that you can do differently that would enable you to get back on track. I'm Alison Smith, and for 25 years I've used metaphor as a means of helping you see situations differently, to enable you from moving from not knowing what to do to knowing what to do, from off track to getting back on track. Once we identified the situation that we want assistance on, and we've identified where we'd like to be, which in this instance is I'd like to be headed in the direction I want to be headed in, then what I invite you to do is, so step 3 is I invite you to park the situation. And today what I'm really doing is giving you a demonstration of part 4, because part 4 is think of an idiom that describes, or use a metaphor that describes the current situation. And in this instance, the person said they felt like they were at a dead end. It's like everything they've tried, they're just going to get nowhere. And so that's a bit like where I am now. The fact that if I wanted to get over there, I can't do it currently because the tide's come in and the tide's stopping me. So this is a landscape that is reflecting how I'm feeling. But what I've discovered in most dead ends, so if you're feeling at a dead end, one of the things I'd suggest you do is to go out into nature and find a dead end, but 95% of the time we're not at a dead end, or the dead end isn't as dead endy as we are thinking it is. The fact that, if we move closer to the dead end, so it's as if when we're approaching the dead end, it's, oh my God, it's not this again. There's no way through. And then as soon as we get closer to the dead end, it's as if suddenly new pathways emerge. And I think that's the same in life. So I would certainly strongly recommend that you go out and demonstrate that. But in this particular instance, I'm going to demonstrate what we'd discover here. Because you can, at certain times of the height of the tide, get over there. But this isn't one of them. So what I would encourage you to do is to not think that just because you tried it last week or last month, or even worse, I tried it 2 years ago and it didn't work, that it's not going to work now, because you're different, the conditions out there, the world is different, and therefore there may be an appetite for whatever it is that you're wanting to do. There may be an opportunity. And that's exactly what I was suggesting to this person. They were looking for a property to work in, and they kept trying and they kept trying, and for the last couple of months they've tried and tried, haven't found anywhere. But there's 2 things there for that particular person. One, it might be that the timing wasn't right for the property, the fact that the ideal property only came up this week. So what I'd suggested to them is, don't give up. And it might be that there's a couple of things that you tried a few months ago that it might be worth retrying again because the timing is different. And that's exactly the same as if we think about here. Never going to be able to get across there if I keep coming at the same height of tide. And the other thing is actually, if we add in the tide, is that it's not about me coming at a different time tomorrow, because it could be that all I'm doing is following the tide, because the tide is 12.5 hours for every tide. So tomorrow it's going to be another hour beyond whatever high tide is today. Tomorrow's. So if I come at another hour and go, oh, well, it's 11 o'clock now, I'll come at 12 o'clock tomorrow because perhaps I will be able to walk over there, I still wouldn't be able to. So some of it is about working out the conditions, really, in terms of what's your equivalent of the tide, and are you taking account of that? So it could be, finding a property point of view, is that most properties come up available at the beginning of a month and they were looking at the end of the month. The other thing about the passage of time is that sometimes it enables us to gather more data about the criteria we're using for taking action. So in this particular instance, the finding the property, then it could be that over the 2 months, they've refined in their head and haven't actually put it into practice that the criteria has changed, and that rather than saying, well, I definitely want it in a particular location, and they're still looking in that location because they're sort of in getting up every day, doing the same thing. So they've got it into a routine, really. So in what way is it just about retrying with either different criteria at a different time, or just retrying today because today isn't last month, 6 months ago, 2 years ago. You're not, nor is the environment. Because, as you'll see shortly, I can get across there. I just need to get the timing right. So it's not a dead end. It's just the timing. So how might now be the time for you to actually take action with respect to this dead end in your life in order to find out those opportunities and options that previously have been, I suppose, closed to you and that are now open? If you've liked this video, please leave a comment, please invite me to do a video about something that you're grappling with at the moment. I'm quite happy to go out. There may be a poem I've written on the subject, quite often using metaphor, or it might be that I've already gone out into nature. And there's certainly lots of videos here on this channel sharing different techniques, processes to help you move from where you are to where you want to be. So to bridge that gap more easily so that you can be away from your dead end, really. I quite often do PSs. As I've sat here, the sun has come out. I'm not sure what how much cloud was there, but certainly the sun wasn't here as much. So again, weather is such a great example of demonstrating that just because something didn't work, oh, it's rainy, it's not rainy all the time. So therefore, the belief that this particular thing isn't going to happen is inaccurate as saying it's going to rain. It rains all the time. It doesn't. It's just the fact that if we always go out in the rain, then that's our belief. That is going to be our belief. Therefore, we need to understand and look for different conditions so that we can see and shift our dead ends to understand it's not just a dead end. It's just a temporary halt until the conditions change. And a little later on, when I went for a swim, suddenly realised that it was only a dead end so long as I'm wanting to walk across to Kinghorn. As soon as you start to think, how do I get to Kinghorn, not how do I walk to it, then I might be able to swim. And there's a road around to it, so it could be that you drive or you walk along a different route. So there's all sorts of different ways, solutions when we're at a dead end. PPS, because I keep finding other examples where dead ends aren't quite as dead endy as we think they are. I was just about to turn these around because to help them stay straight, because obviously they're leaning towards the sun. And then it suddenly dawned on me that, hang on a minute, that strut there is causing a shadow. And sort of counterintuitively, really. Normally you'd think, oh, they need to be closer to the window to get the sun. But in this instance, I need to move them further away to not have that shadow. In some respects, I hadn't even noticed that I was putting them in the shade. So even if I'm now having to be consciously aware of shade, not shade, that's going to give these seeds a much better chance of germination.